Okay, so this is Zach with Dirt and Stone Landscaping. Just going to kind of give a review of the Stihl KMA 135R Combi System Battery Power Head. When we're talking about run times or anything like that, this unit that I have is the AP300S battery. Yes, there is a 500 battery, but at the time in May when I bought this, it was not available in the Northeast according to the dealer. I know it was kind of spotty anyways, but now it's changed, so on and so forth. So the reason I went with this, when they first came out, I had purchased another gas power head, so it was like I don't want to buy one right away. And then it would be the battery powered was through a tether off of like a satchel style battery pack. Sorry, there's a front end loader going down the street, so I'm kind of like, what's going on? Anyways, or you run it off of a battery pack, power pack with a cord going to it. So I didn't really like that. So then they came out with the battery system, and I went with this one because not only could you use just the battery, or underneath here, if you wanted to, you could hook it up to the bigger satchel battery or the backpack battery pack that they offer. So it's best of both worlds, depending on whatever was going to be needed. But from other people that I've seen that have the 500S, it runs a lot longer. Obviously, again, depending on what you're running, it runs a lot longer. So the gas units, I was getting tired of the finickiness. You adjust it, you play around with it, you change anything that you ever wanted to. Everybody's got like their own little thing of trying to keep the gas units running from Stihl, and during the summer I was just kind of tired of it, so I went and purchased this. The dealership I went to, they kind of did it as a whole little deal, which I was fine with, and it was the last one that they had for a while, so thankfully I got it. And as far as some of the battery issues, knock on wood, I haven't had a problem, but that's something I'll talk about later. So the reason I went with another Stihl power head is I have the power broom, the tiller, the stick edger, of course the string trimmer, the bed redefiner, the power saw, the extension, the articulated hedge trimmer. Geez, I think that's it. I think. I don't know. Maybe. Might have forgotten something. So instead of buying all those again, and some of them were newer, some of them aren't that old or have that much wear, instead of rebuying everything, I'm just going to stick with Stihl for right now, and maybe change later on as things progress and the attachments are needing to be replaced. Maybe look at some of the other ones, but that's for another story. I do like the instant on-off, not having to play around with charging it or any, trying to start it, doing the whole disco move of throwing out your shoulder trying to start it, or doing a hedge trimming, tall hedges, and you're up on a ladder and it stalls. Then you're up on the ladder trying to start it again. Then it stalls again. Then you're playing that game. I do like not having to do that. I said something to my insurance company about it, and he laughed and said, yeah, that's actually something I want to hear, is that you're taking steps to be safe with other landscapers. That is a problem, but they like to hear that something like that's avoidable by doing something like this. But anyways, that's totally something different. With the battery, the first time charging it, it did take a while. After that, charging it even from flat, where you're using it and it dies out and you're trying to start it, it takes maybe an hour and a half maybe, average. If you're charging it and you only have like one battery light left, maybe about an hour or so. I mean, the first time was always the longest. Obviously, it's always the first time to charge a battery is the longest. And on Stihl's website, they actually tell you how to store it for winter storage or long-term storage, how to charge the battery, where to store it. I try to keep it in the office where the climate is controlled, not leave it out in the truck or trailer when it's not in use. Obviously, when you're driving to a job site, it's in there. But try to keep it from getting too cold or too hot, because again, that does hurt a battery. No matter what kind of battery it is, they get hurt like that. So let's try to promote battery life. So the little things of just taking it in at the end of the day and remembering, that's a big word, remembering to bring it with you when you leave for the job. I did forget. I am human. I forgot. I'm sorry. So as far as running like the tiller, the edger, bed redefiner, and the power broom, that does take a lot of power to run. And when you're excuse me, tickling my throat. The battery running the tiller and the broom, it does take a lot. Oh, I have the brush cutter too. Forgot about that. And the brush cutter. So for me, running the brush cutter, the bed redefiner, and the power broom, it does take a lot of power out of the battery very quickly. But again, those are very power required attachments. The power saw, I don't see a problem with. The articulated hedge trimmer, I don't see a problem with. The stick edger, I don't see a problem with. And I mean, the string trimmer, unless I'm hitting really tall grass that I really have to, full throttle it, then obviously full throttling, you're going to see your battery go down. If you're looking at this as far as like, I've spent 6 hours of hedge trimming with it, between using the extension pole and the articulated, or just the articulated depending on height, for 6 hours. And I would go between half to 3/4 of a battery from full charge, and that's just using it for 6 hours in a day. For string trimming in the spring and fall, I get maybe 2 days, again depending, but that's a lot of edging and string trimming in the spring and fall. In the summer, I can easily get 2 days, maybe 2.5, but also you're not string trimming as much in the summer. Sorry, I got my finger in there. Trying to think of what else. Gas savings, I saved a lot on fuel. Instead of, I run a 2.5 gallon tank of premix, and instead of going through 2.5 gallons a month between this and the blowers, between 2.5 gallons between this and leaf blowers, I was going about every 2 months. I would have to refill the 2.5 gallon 2-stroke can. So to me, that wasn't terrible. That's kind of a great improvement. What else? One thing that I was kind of worried about was in the summer when you're sweating a lot, if your hand on the control, is the sweat going to be an issue? I didn't have an issue. I did have one day where it was a heat index over 100, and I was getting very hot too. The machines were getting very hot. This did have an issue when I was using it, and I had to put it down in the shade and let it cool off a little bit, and then I could use it again. But that was the recorded hottest day of 2023 in my area. So everything else was having issues and giving warning lights of being overheated. Plus, myself and Lee were not feeling too good in the heat either. So I'm not blaming it. I mean, I can understand it. It's hot. But yeah, with their controller, you can choose 3 different levels of power. Usually, I'm running on the lowest setting. If I'm cutting hedges that are kind of thick and they're needing to be cut back, or it's a very thick hedge that I'm trying to keep nice and tight and trim, I'll bump it to the second level just to get through the thicker material. As far as running like the power saw, I haven't had an issue of having to add more power to it. String trimmer, only if I'm in very tall grass that I have to. I did try the brush cutter with this, and you do have to run it at the highest level with the brush cutter, but it just doesn't last very long. And I'm talking about full battery, you're done in about 15 minutes with the brush cutter. With the bed redefiner, I did some bed redefining. I'm not sure, I didn't measure how many feet. I just did 1 yard. That took me about 30 minutes to edge it all with the bed redefiner, and I went through 3/4 of the battery. So again, that's a high power required attachment. And the broom, the few times I would use it with the broom, it wasn't as power hungry, but it did go through 1/4 of the battery in 10 minutes for what I used. So that's something to just kind of keep in mind. And as far as power levels, I'm usually pretty easy on it. Not on purpose, just I don't see the need to, as you're string trimming grass or trimming a hedge, an average hedge, that you have to go full throttle with it, unless you're in a very thick foliage or cutting through very thick stems on a shrub. But other than that, it's usually just on the lowest setting. But everybody has their own thing. Do your thing. That's it. So with the battery, the 500 is the same shape as this. So it's the same size, it's just it says 500 and it lasts longer. Now you have slots on it for it to fit into the power hookup, just like your other drills and everything have the little slots in the battery that it clips into. I had somebody saying, oh geez, you're going to reverse it and you're going to blow it up and everything like that. Well, it only fits in one way. So as you saw, it was numbers facing the handle. So let me flip it around. It doesn't fit. It's purposely made with the grooves in it so that it only fits one way. And you got to push it down and click it in. Then if you do have a problem, you have a tab in the front and back. Pull them together at the same time, pops right out. So no big issue there. Somebody said that to me and it was just like, yep, put it in backwards. Everybody makes the battery so it only goes in one way. Unlike it's a car battery that you can put it in backwards. It's like, yep, sure, okay. I really do like it. Like I said, depending on what you're running, it's obviously if you're running something that's going to require a lot of torque, that's what's going to make your battery run out faster. The more torque you need, the more it's going to work. And when I got into into heavy work situations that required a lot of torque, you could actually hear, without changing the throttle, you could actually hear the electric motor in there turn harder to still give you the same RPM. So it's doing it on its own. It's not like a gas engine where you go into it and then it bogs down and you have to manually do it. This one, for me, again, this is for me, I'm not saying everybody, but for me, you can hear the engine, the motor in it actually work harder to keep up the RPMs without you having to adjust for it. But again, when you do that, you're running out of battery quicker. So that's kind of the thing. As far as price, I mean, you have to buy the battery, you have to buy the charger. Yep, you have to. But looking at situations where the gas power heads I had would either one would go out and I only had one with me because it was always reliable, but then became unreliable, having to go back, get the other one, and then the other one had an issue in some situations, or I had both and having to switch back and forth trying to get the other one running and so on and so forth. You're losing time. So with putting those as kind of like a standby situation, I kind of like that better than just having gas engines that you just keep switching through. So this is my primary for most things. I do still keep the gas one just in case there's an issue to have it, or if the customer, as we're out there, requests to have something else done when we're there and we have the attachment, Lee can continue on either string trimming or taking on the extra work that the customer asked for. Or also backup if I run out of battery. If the customers ask for a lot of stuff and I run out of battery, I have the gas one to fall back on to as needed. And in other videos you've seen on here of me working on the gas ones. So, and also I have other videos of using the power pruner, the power saw attachment, the hedge trimmer, and the tiller. I don't think it was anything else. But you can look back through and you can see other times that I've used it. Longevity, they say about 2,000 charges on the battery before it needs to be either replaced or you see a decrease in in battery strength. Depending on what you read and who you talk to, it's either they die at 2,000 or they decrease in battery power at 2,000. Depending on who you talk to, it goes through there. Am I happy with the switch? Yes. Is it quieter? Oh yes. Is it more efficient? Sort of. I don't have to play around with starting it, stopping it. If somebody asks me a question, I can hear them. Or if somebody's walking up behind me or a pedestrian's walking by, you can easily hear them with this running. Unlike with the gas engines, you can't hear with the hearing protection and everything like that. So that's another option. And yes, I have a story too of going to work on a job and started working. It was early in the morning working, and the customer comes out and says, "Oh geez, I didn't know you were here, didn't hear you, and you had a lot done." And it's like, "Oh yeah, we're using the battery, it's very quiet." And oh, that's, they're grateful for that. So yeah, I've had those situations too, and I've also had people, just for whatever reason not like the battery. I don't know. You're gonna get them all, I guess. So this is my review. Would I recommend it to people? Yes. If you have all the attachments and you really like Stihl, then obviously stick with it, because you paid for the attachments anyways. Other companies that have it, I inherited some first generation Ryobi 40 volt tools that, the first generation was kind of a nice homeowner model. It wasn't commercial like they are now, and they're not bad. I mean, I couldn't use them all day, but I do use them periodically, just in conjunction with this tool as well. They've come a long way with it. Theirs are a lot better. DeWalt, Milwaukee, I mean, you name it. Somebody's got the string trimmers now. They have the combi system going on. Well, their version of the combi system, just the multi-attachment tool, whatever they call it. But at least starting out into the battery, it's not bad. I don't mind it. It's reliable. And it's much better than dealing with the gas one, especially standing up on a ladder and shimmying up the ladder and then using it and then getting back down, not having to deal with it stalling out, or it's running and you're trying to grab it and cut yourself or cut something else. So, oh, and the other thing is in some of the hedges that I've trimmed, you trim them back and they have lawn art, metal lawn art that grew into the shrub, and they don't tell you about it, and you hit it. When you do hit metal with this unit, with the hedge trimmer unit, it shuts off. It's like a safety thing. It's really weird. It threw me off for the first time. And then I was trying to figure out what was going on, and when I looked in the shrub, I saw a shiny piece of metal from some tall standing lawn art thing that was left and sucked into the hedge. And I saw the shiny metal from cutting it, and just kind of figured, like, okay, maybe it's just a safety thing when it does that. No rep has been able to sit long enough to hear the story about it to actually say yes it is or yes it isn't. That is my one thing, is the reps that I deal with in the Northeast, they are 10 words or less. And as long as you say, oh, it's great, they love to talk to you. If you say, hey, I got a question about it, they walk away from you. So Stihl, if you're watching this, what is up with your reps here in New England, in the Northeast? Come on. What? They walk away unless you're saying it's great. Come on. They don't want to hear anything. But anyways, thanks for watching. I got a little long-winded. I think I covered everything. If I forgot something, I'm sorry. I don't have the attachments. They're in storage right now in the winter. I'll get them out and do another video of some point of those. But if you're a homeowner and you kind of like to invest something that's going to be around for a couple of years with very minimal maintenance outside of greasing the shafts and everything like that, this battery one's not bad if you're looking for that pro model. And some of the brush cutting, I don't know how much brush cutting you'd be doing, or using the power broom. I mean, maybe the edger, you could always get more batteries if you're just a homeowner. If you're like me, you're in business for it, I really don't see a problem. I am going to upgrade to the battery. Just waiting to see when they actually get it in stock. Usually when it is in stock, it's gone. So just kind of waiting for when it's in stock and I can grab it. The 500S battery, but the 300's not bad. It's a very good purchase. I hope to use it for a long time. And yeah, that's about it. If I forgot something, I'm sorry. Let me know if I forgot something. And I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.